We're down on the shop floor now, right in the middle of the Ranger plant, where you will see how this boat really starts to take shape. What we're looking at here is a hull mold, and it's necessary to understand, basically the boat obviously is built in two major parts, the hull and the deck. Those come out of separate molds, and then once they're put together, that is, the hull and deck are mated together, they'll be fiberglass and they'll forevermore be one piece. Right now, as we go down the production line, this hull and this deck is going down two different sides of the plant. The hull mold and the deck are very much alike in that they're highly polished. Before we do anything to the boat, and this is a little bit hard to understand, we actually gel coat the boat before we build it. That's the same as paint on your automobile. So the gel coat will be that surface finish, the surface color, what you're really looking at from the outside of the boat once it's finished. Now what happens there is we apply this gel coat to the mold. The mold was polished to the point that the gel coat will release from the mold, but at the same time it has to stay in the mold long enough for us to get the laminate in. Understand that gel coat is not all created equal, and we use different kinds of gel coat depending on where we're using it in the boat. For example, below the waterline will require a different kind on the hull than perhaps a deck would. It's very important that we select this right material, and as it comes into the lab, we QC it, and then it's okay to go out to the shop floor, which is obviously where we're at right now, and we're going to be seeing some gel coat applied. The Comanche stripes are actually hand laid in this mold. So layer after layer, this gel coat will be built up until we achieve the number of colors that that particular order calls for. Every boat is custom built. The specifications right along with the boat, your color, what you want the boat to look like, that's the way it will be. And so these gel coaters apply that as we go through the line. You'll see that every part of it is hand taped, and by that I mean that the design or the Comanche stripe, the shape of that, is taped off on the mold. The base coat is sprayed on. That tape has to be removed precisely at the right time so as not to pull the gel coat away from the area that we desire it to stay on. As we do that, we apply clear before every polyflake coat, and then the layers are built up. As we see what we're doing here today, I'm applying the polyflake, kind of an interesting story, I think. Some 35 years ago or so, when we sprayed the first polyflake on a Ranger bass boat, Forrest tells the story that they used a salt shake, and they put the flake inside that and sprinkled it on the wet clear. Well, you won't see that today. You'll see that the equipment has evolved, that the technology has improved, and so we can put it on more precisely and evenly, but kind of an interesting history of how that all got started. Moments ago, you'll recall that we were looking at the gel coat process, and I told you that the gel coat would release from the mold. That's exactly what's happening here. This boat has been laminated, this hull, and it has been lifted out of its mold. The mold stayed on the ground just as it was supposed to, and the hull is lifted up and a Ranger is born. Let's go now inside the department and look at the many things that took place to get it to this point.